Hello everyone, my name is Madhi, trained in mental engineering. Today we are the regular unity concept meeting. Let's begin with the topic. And now the fundamental principles of economy. So technology is a approach principle of scarcity and means resources are limited while humans want and unlimited. This imbalance forces individuals versus the environment to make choice about how to allocate resources efficiently. Even if there involves trade-off and choosing the option means sacrificing another. Scarcity influences production, consumption, and distribution, shaping economical behavior, understanding, and helps explain the society must uh, must need to optimize resource use and develop strategies if the shortage time. They would be not need to economics. All desires could be fulfilled without constraints. Opportunity cost. Opportunity cost refers to the value of the next best alternative for consumers when making decisions. For example, if a student spends time studying instead of working, the opportunity cost is the way they could have earned. This concept applies to business investors in projects and government allocating budgets. Recognizing opportunities cost insurance better decision-making by evaluating trade-off expertise. It underscores that everyone's choice has hidden cost, even it has not much monetary. By analyzing opportunities, cost individuals and organizations all can allocate resources more efficiently, minimizing benefits while minimizing losses. Supply and demand. Supply and demand are the fundamental forces uh, driving market economics. Demand references to consumers' willingness to buy goods and various prices, while supply represents producers' ability to offer them. The interaction between supply and demand determines prices and quality in the market. When demand exceeds supply, prices rises. A producer to increase output. Conversely, excess supply leads to price drop, encouraging consumption. Self-regulating mechanism ensures market equilibrium. When supply matches demand, understanding this dynamic helps business set prices, government regulate market, and consumers make informed purchases returns. Marginal analysis. Marginal analysis examines the additional benefits, various costs, and of the decision. For instance, a business evaluates whether producing one more unit might increase profits. Consumers weigh the extra satisfaction from buying another item against the price. The principle helps optimize decision by focusing on incremental changes rather than total effect. Economists use marginal analysis to determine optimal production level, pricing strategies, and resource allocation. By comparing marginal and most individual and teams make rational choices that minimize or maximize efficiency and satisfaction. Ensure resources are used where they provide the greatest benefit. Next. Insensitive manner. This influences human behavior by encouraging or disencouraging certain actions. Financial inactivities such as wages or profits motive workers and businesses to increase productivity. Non-financial incentives like recognition or penalties also shape citizens. Policymakers use taxes, subsidies, and regulations to steer economic activity. Understanding and helps to predict how people respond to change in policies or market conditions. For example, higher taxes on cigarettes reduces smoking rates, while subsidies offer renewable energy promotes green investment. At the central to economic model, explaining why individuals and can act predictable way placed under different conditions. Trade and comparative advantages. Trade allows nations to specialize in producing goods where they have comparative advantages. The ability to produce at a lower opportunity cost than others by focusing on the strategies strength. Countries can trade surplus goods for import, increasing overall efficiency and consumption. Comparative advantages extend why even less efficient producers benefit from these trade. Globalization has extended trade network, boosting economic growth and interpretation. However, trade can also lead to job displacement in certain sectors. Understanding comparative advantages helps policymakers design trade agreements that maximize benefits while negative impacts on domestic industries has. Market efficiency. Market efficiency occurs when resources are allocated in a way that maximizes total benefit in perfectly competitive market prices that reflect all efficient markets, minimizes waste and ensure goods to those who value them most. The real world market often faces due to monopolies, externalities, or information asymmetry. Government intervenes through laws, taxes, or subsidies to correct the failures. Understanding market efficiency helps economists assess the effectiveness of policies and recommend improvements to enhance economic welfare. Role of government. So government plays a crucial role in stabilizing economic, correcting market failures, and ensuring equitable resources distribution. We provide public goods like, example, defense infrastructure. The private market introduces regulations address externalities like pollution, wildfire, and monetary policies, manage inflation and unemployment. And however, excessive intervention can distort markets, leading to inefficiency. Economics debates the optimal level of government involving balance free market principles with social welfare objectives. Effective government requires understanding economic principles to implement policies that foster growth, stability, and fairness. Production possibilities. So, just instead the maximum combinations of goods and economy can produce given resources and technology points on the graph represent efficient production while inside points indicate the shift in the reflect economic growth or decline. This demonstrates opportunity cost producing more of the good requires scarcifying another. This model helps policymakers evaluate trade-off in resource allocation such as investing in healthcare, mission execution by analyzing economic assets on economic productive capacity and potential for growth guiding decision on investment and technological advances. The next, elasticity. Elasticity measures how responsive quality demand or supply is to the price change. Price elasticity of demand indicates whether consumers will pay significantly less if prices rise or barely adjust. Supply elasticity shows producers' ability to increase output when prices rises. Understanding elasticity helps businesses set pricing strategies. Praise to inelastic demand can raise prices without losing many customers. Consumers use elasticity to predict tax impacts. Taxes inelastic goods like gasoline generates steady revenue, but burdens consumer. Elasticity is critical for predicting market behavior and designing effective economic policies. So, maximization in economics. So consumer aims to maximize utility, the satisfaction gained for goods and services given budget constraints. They allocate spending to achieve the highest possible well-being, balancing marginal utility per dollar spent. Businesses use the principle to design products and deliver the value, influencing pricing and marketing practices. Behavior economical experts deviations from rational unity maximization. due to basis. Understanding utility helps economists model consumer behavior, forecast demand, and recommend policies that enhance welfare, such as subsidies of essential goods. Cost benefit analysis. Cost benefit analysis compares the expected cost and benefit of a decision to determine its feasibility. So then governments use the cost benefit analysis for infrastructure projects, weighing long-term economic gains against consumption expansion. Businesses access investment by projecting returns relative to cost. Individual apply CBA when choosing education or career path by qualifying the trail of CBA. Ensure resources are allowed the projects with the highest net benefits. However, challenges include valuing integral factors like environmental impact, despite limitations, remains a key tool or rational decision making in economics. So, inflation and deflation. Inflation, rising prices, and deflation, falling prices. Impact of purchasing power and economic stability. Moderate inflation encourages spending and investment, while hyperinflation adopts savings, and this may increase the debt burden and discourage consumption. Central banks use monetary policy to control inflation by adjusting interest rates and money supply. Understanding the phenomena helps business plan for price changes, workers' wages, and policymakers maintain economic stability. Uncontrolled inflation or deflation can lead to resistance, making their management a key economic priority. Unemployment occurs when job seekers cannot find the work, reducing economic output and increased social costs. Types include frictional, temporary job transitions, structural, skill mismatch, and cyclical. Economic downturns. Government addresses unemployment through education programs, simultaneously spending and labor marketing reforms. High unemployment, lower consumer spending, slowing economic growth. Economists analyze unemployment trends to recommend policies that boost job creation, such as tax for businesses, for infrastructure. Just balancing full employment with inflation control remains a key change with policymakers. Monetary policy. Central banks implement monetary policy by controlling money supply and interest rates to stabilize the economy. Lowering rates encourages borrowing and spending simultaneously movement, while trying to raise cross inflation tools improve open market competition. Reserve its requirements at discount rate. Effective monetary policy requires balancing growth with price stability. During crisis, central banks may use qualitative easy or inject liquidity. Understanding monetary policy helps businesses interest rate change investors adjust profit loss or and policymakers combat or inflation. Next, involve government spending and taxes to influence economic activity exponentially. Policies increase spending or tax cuts boost demand during recession, while concentrating policies reduces inflation and debt arises when spending exceeds revenue, requiring careful management. Multiple measures that impact of policy change on GDP. Policymakers studied the effectiveness of simultaneous various authorities. Understanding the policy helps government design budgets that promote growth, reduce inequality, and maintain sustainability without burdening future generations. Economic growth. Economic growth includes production of goods and services over time, improves living standards, drives including technological innovation, capital investment, and labor productivity. Sustainable Government requires effective resource use, education, and infrastructure. Developing nations focus on industrialization while advanced economies prioritize innovation and growth faces changes like resource depletion and inequality. Economic studies growth model to recommend policies that enhances productivity such as R&D, funding and trade liberalization. Long-term prosperity demands on balancing growth with environmental and local sustainability. Income distribution. Income distribution examines how wealth is divided among the population. Inequality arises from wages, disabilities, inheritance, and market focus versus progressive taxation and social programs aim to redistribute wealth while criticize argue they discourage productivity tasks, Jenny coefficient measures, inequality guiding policies, debt excessive inequalities and high index growth by limiting consumer spending the social mobility. Economics analyzes factors like education, globalization, and automation to recommend and distribution policies without stigma insensitive for innovation and work. Externalities. If the cost or benefit affecting third parties, outside market transaction, pollution, negative externalities harm society while education benefits it. Government address the taxes, subsidies or regulations. The post terms just private negotiation can involve externalities with clear property rights. Understanding externalities helps design policies that align private incentives with social welfare such as carbon pricing and public funding for vaccines. Behavioral economics. Behavioral economics studies how psychological factors influence economic decisions challenging traditional rational choice models concepts like loss, aversion, anchoring, and child behavior, explain market anomalies, nurses, substance, policy changes can improve decision without restricting freedom. Applications include retirement saving plans and public health campaigning. By integrating psychology, this field provides deeper insights into consumer behavior, including economical models and policymakers for better reflect real-world human actions.